Cut.
Okay, that's a cut. Everybody back to ones right away, please.
Thank you. I happen to be fortunate to understand the importance and benefits of residual income. The work that I do as an actor is something that I love, and it's very fulfilling. But often, there's no work available. It's uncertain and it's unpredictable. But I've been fortunate enough to have done films in the past which paid me a residual income. And that residual income helps me to sustain myself. A good friend of mine introduced me to an opportunity to provide you with the opportunity of acquiring a residual income. It's very simple and very powerful. It's called Show Me the Money System. And it's so simple and powerful that all you have to do is point and press. And that system is backed by the 4th fastest growing company in history.
Be ready for you now, Mr. Glover.
Oh, thank you. Oh, here's my good friend, Ken Rolfness, and he will share with you the details that will help you enhance your lifestyle.
Excellent. We're ready to go again.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Ken Rolfness. I'd like to welcome you to this presentation. Now, before we go any further, I'd like you to think about a few things. A, when would you like to retire? 1 year, 3 years, 5 years? B, how much money would you like to retire on each month? $1,000 a month, $3,000, $5,000 or more? And C, how much money would you need to invest at 6% in order to receive that monthly income? To get that, all you have to do is take what you want, let's say $5,000 a month, and times that by 200. Basically, if you wanted $1 million, you'd have to have $1 million in the bank at 6% interest to get $5,000 a month. What you're about to learn are a few of the secrets that my wife and I have been able to apply that allowed me to come from full-time factory work to where we are today. I'm not telling you this to boast, but to give you confidence to know that what you're about to see will give you all the confidence to do what we've done. Now, the 3 things that most people want to know about a business is 1, what is it? 2, how much money can I make? And 3, what do I need to do to make that money? Well, the 3 things that most people want are either more time, more money, or better health. Unfortunately, the people that have a lot of time tend to not have the money to enjoy that time. And the people that tend to have a lot of money generally don't have the time to enjoy that money. And even if you had all the time and money in the world, if your health was failing you, then most would agree that you couldn't enjoy your time and money to its fullest extent. What we like people to do is identify what they want with all their heart, and we'll show them how to get that. Now, as for me, I grew up poor in Blue Springs, Missouri. I'm half Samoan, half Norwegian, lived in trailer parks, different things like that growing up. I married an Australian, Sheila named Michelle, from Australia, from Brisbane, Australia, and we had a big Samoan wedding, had the big cake, and it looked like we had lots of money. But unfortunately, the reality of things were that after this nice big wedding, we went down to the luxurious accommodations of Interstate Inn. This is one of the cheapest motels that you can go to there where I was from. Now, I then became a factory worker and retreaded truck tires. It was a dingy, dirty job, if anyone's been, you'd understand. Now, I got into management, and all they did was change the color of my shirt, put me on salary, and they basically owned you. Well, I decided that just wasn't good. Life was too short. So I ended up getting a job working for a gentleman named Phil. Now, Phil, just so that you know, he's a brilliant businessman, very successful. He's in the who's who of 1998 and in 2001 for business. He owned the largest A&P franchise in the world, and it seemed like everything he touched turned to gold. Well, the only reason he hired me is because my brother-in-law, Mel, was his accountant. Long story short, I could not sell. It was investment real estate, and I bombed. I was at the stage I was about to be fired, and a lady from church who's a naturopath named Melanie called me and asked if I heard of this company and product, and I told her, listen, thanks, but no thanks, I'm not interested. So she had a gentleman from America called named Lynn, and I told him basically the same thing. Anyways, he said, before you make any uneducated decisions, let me send you one thing, I'll never bother you again. Well, he sent me some information on it, and I thought, this could be cool. So I then got involved with the company, had to borrow the money, and then I got a hold of Phil. And here's this rich businessman. I said, Phil, you're rich, I'm poor. On this audio is some information. I need you to listen to it. Anyways, he said, Ken, don't waste your time. Well, about a week later, I get a message to call Phil, and I called Phil and I said, hey, Phil, what's up? He said, Ken, I just heard that audio. I said, oh, yeah? He said, listen, mate, if a quarter of what's on that is true, you and I are going to make an absolute fortune. And I said, wow. I said, I'm a factory worker. This guy's a rich businessman, and he thinks it's pretty cool. Well, anyways, just a few weeks later, he tells me, hey, Ken, I'm flying to America. And I said, what for? He says, I want to go find out if this is a real deal. So he and his wife, Nolene, fly to America business class, meets the owners of the companies, checks the background of the company out, and then he calls me up and says, Ken, what's your ID number? And I said, why? He said, well, you introduced this to me. I'd like to get started. And I thought, wow, my boss now works with me? This is pretty cool. Well, anyways, about 3 months later, I nearly tripled what I was making from Phil. Well, actually, it's nearly 4 months. I nearly tripled what I was making. And I went into Phil, and I said, Phil, I can no longer afford to work for you. And I showed him the check. And basically, I was able to fire my boss. Now, I was 32 years old. I was living with my wife's parents. And I thought, wow, finally, this looks like something that's going to happen. Well, I retired from full-time factory work in less than 4 months. And within the first year, I was able to get enough money, and I was able to buy my wife it was her dream house, 7 bedrooms, 60, nice big with all the little trims. It was nice because before that we were living with her parents, and so it felt really good. I was able to buy my first luxury car, so I was driving, not the best cars, and my first one was called an S-Class Mercedes with the bulletproof windows, and so, that's just always nice. You're able to buy your family, your wife, the things that she wants, and what the great thing about it is these are tax deductions. Now, I also have young children. I was very busy, and some people use their children as an excuse why they can't build a business. And what I like to say is, don't use them as the excuse, use them as the reason, because you get to watch them grow up and do amazing things. Well, not only do you get the house, but you also get all the bits and pieces. We have gardeners and pool people, maintenance people, cleaners. It's nice. You're also able to meet a lot of really neat people. I was able to spend some time with the president of French Polynesia. I get to meet some of the top speakers like Jack Zufelt. The guy gets $5,000 an hour. He was awarded the Presidential Medal of Merit from the President of the United States. He wrote a book called The DNA of Success. Absolutely changed my life. Be able to spend time with people like Paul Zane Pilzer, Bert Jensen, who happens to be one of the top earners in the world in our company. Absolutely phenomenal man and very great friend of mine. It allows you to spend time with what you're wanting to do. I own a band that I play the drums in, and these are my best friends in the world. And it just gives you some options to do the things that you want to do. Now, my wife was featured in a magazine when we first moved to the States on vacation, and it's a women's magazine. You see, this company has a weight management program that was developed for women that were 40 and over. No one had one in the world, and this company developed it. And my wife, even though she wasn't 40, she's always had problem in the women department for our whole marriage. She gets on this stuff, and she's able to lose 70 pounds in a very short period of time. We're excited.
There's lots of trips, the incentives. They've sent thousands and thousands of people all over the world. But what's really exciting is I was able to travel with some of my best friends. In fact, this is Daryl and Laura. Laura's one of the girls that sings in my band, but Daryl, very good friend, he used to be on the unemployment for 8 years. It's not for the lack of trying, it's just that he's a stuntman and the movies don't always come. And this is where we're staying at the Grand America. They have amazing cruises available for you, and every year there's something for you. Is financial freedom in your future? You see, most people think they're on the right track, that they're trudging along. They do what's called the 40-45 plan. That's 40 hours a week for 45 years. And they hope by the age that they turn 65 years old that they're going to have this huge nest egg set aside. But the reality is this. Out of every 100 people, by the age of 65, only 4 are financially independent. Taking the safe road and doing nothing results in a 96% failure rate. Now, what we recommend that you do is take the road that's less traveled. The financially successful, or the 4%, most of them are business owners. Now, Robert Kiyosaki, one of the more famous authors in the world, wrote a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And he's very famous for a thing called the cash flow quadrant. Now, I'm not the best at this. I will give it to you in my, as I understand it. He basically says that everybody's in a part of the quadrant. He calls it the ESBI. E standing for employee, S for self-employed, B for business owner, and I for investor. We won't cover the investor side of it. Basically, it's where your money makes money. Now, an employee, this is where most people fall into, and that's where you're working for someone else. And they say that you will never become wealthy working for someone else. But here's the true cost of that. You have no life, you have 40 hours a week, time away from family, traffic and commute, no control or freedom, no tax advantages. And so unfortunately, you pay a big chunk to the government that you can never get back. A self-employed, there's high risk, you got major startup capital, the business owns you, one location, basically you bought a job. In my simple understanding of that, I'll just use the example of a doctor. While a doctor is working and on call and all that, he's making lots of money, but as soon as he goes on vacation, he doesn't get paid. So that's a self-employed. Now, a business owner would be like having that same doctor, but this time the doctor owns a practice and there's 10 doctors working for him, and he makes a percentage or makes some for each one of those doctors. That's a business owner. What we're showing you here today is to own your own business from home. And it's got all the positives. It's the perfect business model. It has unlimited income potential, flexible work schedule. You get mentors and advisors to help you along the way. You have a low startup cost, residual income, it's recession proof, tax advantages, amazing things. And you don't have all the negatives, no handling, shipping, deliveries, lease, rent, insurance, employees, all the things that come along with it. Now that we've established that a business is definitely the way to go, what I'd like to do is introduce you to a concept. I want you to pretend that I can grant you one wish, but you only have 2 choices. And the first choice is that I will give you $1 million. Or choice 2 is that I'll give you 1 cent that doubles every day for 31 days. But you have to drive 1 hour to visit a friend of mine named Vendela, and she will double your cent and give you 2 cents, and you drive all the way back home. Then on the next day, you take your 2 cents, you drive all the way back to Vendela 1 hour, and she doubles your 2 cents and gives you 4 cents, and you drive back. Well, you do that every day for 31 days, which would be better, that or having $1 million? Well, for me, as a factory worker, $1 million for me, please. Who wants to drive around for pennies? And so let's begin. In day 1, you'd have 1 cent. Day 2, you'd have 2 cents, and then you double, and that becomes 4 cents, and that becomes 8 cents, and 16, and 32, and 64, and by the 10th day, that would give you $5.12. How embarrassing if you took the penny. Well, let's see what happens in day 11. Well, 5 doubles and becomes $10.24, and that doubles becomes $20.48. That doubles becomes $40.96, $81.92, $163.84, $327, and by the 20th day, that's $5,242.88. Still not looking too good considering there's only 11 days left in the program. But what happens in day 21? Well, 5,000 doubles and becomes 10,000. That doubles and becomes 20,000. And that doubles becomes 41,000, and then it doubles and becomes 83,000, then it doubles and becomes 167,000, then 335,000, 671,000, and then the 28th day, That doubles and becomes $1.3 million. But wait, we didn't agree to 28 days, did we? We agreed to 31 days. So 1.3 doubles and becomes 2.6. That doubles and becomes 5.3. And in the final day of our agreement, $5.3 million doubles and becomes $10.7 million. Now who's laughing all the way to the bank? When Einstein was asked what he thought one of the most powerful things on the planet, he said that he believed that the eighth wonder of the world was compound interest. And so how do we make compound interest work for you? This is what I call the show me the money formula. If you can answer yes to these three questions, then we can show you how you can harness the power of compound interest. Question 1 is, do you want to make a lot of money, and do you know why? You see, the why is possibly the greatest secret of all time. My good friend Del Williams taught me this secret, which is called the law of attraction. And it says that you will attract to you, like a powerful magnet, people, circumstances, and events based on your dominant thought. Now, your dominant thought is basically that thought which you think about all the time with emotion or with passion. Unfortunately, 92% of the population's dominant thoughts are of things that they fear and don't want. You know, like, how am I going to pay the bills this month, or I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. You get the idea. Now, since that is what they think about with emotion all the time, that is what they will attract to you. That's the law. And that is why I teach the principles of Jack Zufeld, who is considered to be one of the top trainers in the world. He was awarded the Presidential Medal of Merit, and he gets up to $5,000 an hour on the phone. Well, he identified the key element in turning on that magic switch that gets you all that your heart desires by simply identifying at 100% with every fiber of your being that which you want the most, or as Jack calls it, your core desire, the why. So again, question 1 is, do you want to make a lot of money, and do you know why? Question 2 is, do you have or can you get $200? And question 3 is, do you know 5 people that can answer yes to these 3 questions? Now, you should have been given a graph. It's actually called the Show Me the Money worksheet. If you don't, then just follow along, and you can even draw this out. Now, on here, as you can see, we have percentages, case value, commission, question number 3, and group size, and total. Under where it says case value, I want you to write $120 in each column, all the way down. Now, in any business, you would have the value of your product, and then you would get a percentage of it. And in this particular instance, it's the same. So, if you look at the first line there, we get 20% of $120. Well, that gives us $24. The next line, number 2, we get 5% of $120, which is $6. In the third row, we get 5% again, which is $6. Fourth one, we get 5%, which is $6. And in the fifth row there, 10%, which is $12. Now we know how much we get when product is moved on different levels. Let's now look at the second half of our formula. At the top of the page, it says question number 3 in group size. Well, what was question number 3? Question number 3 was, do you know 5 people by the following week that can answer yes to these 3 questions? Let's assume that you did what you said you'd do. You handed out enough DVDs, had a few chats, and all of a sudden we were able to find those 5. So write down 5. And there you have it. There's our formula. Starting from the left side of the page on the first row, we get 20% of $120, which is $24. We brought 5 people into the organization, so 5 times $24 is $120. Now let's go to the second week. Now remember, this can be weeks, months, or years. This is strictly a formula. We get 5% of $120, which is $6. Now here is one of the secrets. Last week was your first week in the business. You said yes to question number 3, which is, do you know 5 people by the following week that can answer yes to these 3 questions? This is now your second week in the business. So how many people do you think you personally have to bring into the organization? Most say 5 or 10. In actual fact, it's 0. You said you did what you said you would do. You said you could get those 5. This is now those 5 people's first week. So they all said yes to question number 3, which is, do you know 5? So 5 times 5 is 25. So there you have it. We get $6 each on that row. We get 25 people, so 25 times $6 is $150. Let's go to the third week. We get 5% of $120, which is $6. Last week was those 25 people's first week. They all said yes to question number 3, do you know 5? 5 times 25 is $125. We get $6 each on that level, so $6 times 125 people gives us $750. Let's go to the fourth week. We get $6 each there. This is now those 125 people's first week in the business. They all said yes to question number 3. 125 times 5 is 625. We get $6 each, which gives us $3,750. Now, I generally don't like to go down to the next level, but we'll continue anyways. We get $10 each, or 10% of $120, which is $12. So we get double commissions. But have a look at that. That's 625 people's first week. They all said yes to the same 3 questions. Do you know 5? 5 times 625 is 3,125 people. We get $12 each, which gives us $37,500. If you were to add up all 5 weeks, that would give you a grand total of $42,270. But here's the catch. That's in a perfect world. That's if you get your 5, who get their 5, who get their 5, who get their 5, who get their 5. But we don't live in a perfect world. You might be able to get your 5, but 5 might get 1. 1 might get 2, 2 might get none. So what if we said, let's do what Bill Gates said. Bill Gates said the 3 keys to his success were 1, being at the right place at the right time, 2, having a vision where the industry is going, and 3 is, and most important, was taking immediate and massive action. So let's assume we took that immediate massive action. We worked really hard for that 5 weeks, and we fell short of $42,270 by 90%. Would 10% of $42,270 be worth a $200 investment, a few phone calls, and some time? Well, that would give you $4,227. Well, let's say we didn't even do that good. Cut that figure in half. Would $2,113.50 be worth that money and time? Well, let's cut that in half again. Would $1,056 be worth it? And let's even cut it in half one more time. Would $528.37 be worth a $200 investment, a few phone calls, and some time? Most would definitely agree, yes. Now, the company that I'm about to introduce to you is phenomenal. In fact, in the Inc. 500, which is a magazine that covers the fastest growing private companies in America, in their 20-year history, this company was, out of 9,000 companies, this company was #1, dollar for dollar. But we weren't happy with just finding out against the private companies. We wanted to know how they ranked against the big dogs of the world. You know, the Microsofts, the IBMs, the Coca-Cola. And so we hired Griffin Hill Consulting and to get all the data from Fortune 500 companies, Fortune Global 1000, and Forbes 500 for the fastest growing companies in modern history in their first 7 years. Now, this is adjusted for inflation, but it doesn't count mergers or acquisitions. And here they are, the top 20 companies, the fastest growing companies in modern history, first 7 years. #1 is Google. #2 is Federal Express. #3 is Intel. This company was #4, and it beat out all the rest. Sony, Walmart, Nike, Microsoft, Marriott, McDonald's, Disney, Boeing, Pepsi, IBM, Starbucks, Xerox, Coca-Cola, Reebok, Nestle, and Procter & Gamble. Holy smokes, this is pretty phenomenal. So you may be wondering what this company is, and you're wondering maybe what is fueling the hyper growth of this amazing company. Well, I can tell you what it is. It's the baby boomers. The baby boomers were born between 1946 and 1964. They're 1 billion strong. They control nearly over 60% of the world's wealth, and as of the year 2006, a boomer is turning 60 every 8 seconds. And for the 18 years following that, 1 billion of the most powerful generation in the history of the world that control most of the world's money is turning 60. And if you want to make your fortunes, all you have to do is find their needs and fill it. Some basic examples is when they were born, companies like Gerber and baby food and disposable nappies became huge industries. When they're in their first year in school, there was more schools built in 1 year than any 12 years before or since. When they were in high school, companies like McDonald's and Kentucky Fried Chicken made billions. It became billion-dollar industries feeding the boomers. And in the early 70s, the boomers were in their 20s and 30s, and their parents said, if you're going to live under my roof, to do as I say. So they said, well, we'll go get our own roofs, which created the biggest real estate boom in the history of the world. Well, as of 2006, they're now 60. And the #1 thing on their mind right now is how to look and feel like they did in their 20s and 30s, and how to fund retirement. You see, the highest unemployment rate around the world are 50-year-olds. So, what is the name of this company that is the 4th fastest growing company in recorded history? It's Tahitian Noni International. This company has a product that has a 6,000-year-old history, the fruit. The company and products are time-tested and proven. The proprietary formula is exclusive, unique, and impossible to duplicate. This is the original. There are many imitators, but there's no real competition. Now, I could tell you all about this product, but if you're like me, you're skeptical. In fact, I used to think that whenever I'd hear someone tell about this, I'd wait for them to say, I used to have one arm, I drank this miracle fruit, and now I've got 2 arms. Yeehaw! Well, I would rather hear it from a news or current affairs program. In fact, what you're about to see, we've got things from ESPN, CBS Market Watch, Rosie O'Donnell, Brisbane Current Affairs program. And in fact, one of my favorite sections is that this company was featured on the Discovery Channel. And most people would agree if your company and product are featured on that channel, you've got something pretty special.
I'm Ben Carey, and this is my mate Carl Lewis.
Hello there, how are you?
And I'm the guitar player for Savage Garden, and
I am the drummer for Savage Garden at the moment. I've been for the last
3 years.
3 years.
3 years. Now, we've just found out about this Tahitian Noni juice through a friend of ours, Ken Rolfness, who you may or may not know as yet, and if you don't know him, you better get to know him. And the juice, I knew nothing about. This is the juice, see, Spanish in the bottle. And all I can tell you about is I can't tell you the science behind it, I can't tell you the research behind it. All I can tell you is that it works for me on the road, works for Carl on the road, all of Mariah Carey's band. Looking forward to catching up with us at an airport somewhere on the travels, or another award show party somewhere where we can hook up and get this happening for them. Carl spent a bit of time with, we did some shows over in France, I think it was, in Spain or something,
with David Bowie, and I caught up with his personal trainer and bodyguard, and he's excited to learn a lot more about it too. He's heard some good things about it.
Well, we got Steve Sorensen here. This is his dog, Hi Minko, but his real name is, what's his real name?
Charlie.
Charlie.
Well, I started off with him a couple of years ago. He was sent to the university to get put down and get put to sleep.
When you first got him, there was nothing. You started giving him Noni juice. How long after he got Noni juice did he win his first race?
Within the first fortnight.
The locals' hopes resting with Hi Minko and Sagra Smith.
And Royston Raider Tonga questions is still last, but it's Hi Minko for the Sorensens. Well clear. Bring the Bacon in second placing. Hi Minko wins the cup. Look at Questions flying home for second. Hi Minko beat Questions.
It was a victory of fairy tale proportions. 21-year-old trainer Steve Sorensen saved Hi Minko from the traditional fate that awaits many slower greyhounds. He received him as a giveaway, and since then has turned the dog and his own career completely around. How's this win make you feel, mate?
Excellent, yeah, excellent.
Biggest win of your life?
Yeah, biggest win of my whole family's career in greyhound racing.
How long have you been training for?
My parents have been in it 20 odd years.
And here's a really great trade-up. Rather than a sugary soda, try a 100% natural beverage like Tahitian Noni juice made from the superfruit noni. It'll increase energy levels, boost the immune system, and rid the body of harmful free radicals.
Run for fun, Chadwick's well, bust your bubble, trying to get involved late. They come for home, Power Boy is the leader, no got a halo, nowhere to go down at the rail. Bust your bubble now comes flying down the centre of the track. And here's Bust Your Bubble now taking the advantage. No got a halo gets out and comes chasing, but it's going to be Bust Your Bubble to win it. Bust Your Bubble a length and 3/4. No got a halo was second. Power Boy.
And it was terrible because I just wasted away, lost all my hair, my eyebrows, my eyelashes, everything, and I was ill feeling all the time. So I decided that, well, death was preferable.
Irma gave up on the chemo when the cancers refused to shrink. It was then a friend put a very sceptical Irma onto Noni juice. She took 30 mils twice a day for almost 6 months, then went back for another CAT scan.
When I had the CAT scan, the young radiologist fellow came out and he said to me, "Have you had an operation?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Have you had your growths removed?" I said, "No, I haven't had anything like that." He said, "Well, we can't find the growths."
And Linkrum doesn't just drink this juice. She now makes a living selling it.
I'm making over $100,000 a year now, and I'm doing that on part-time hours.
As you can see, it's just going all over the world. And some people say, well, if it's going so fast, aren't we going to run out? Well, if you have a look at this picture here, when you take the seed and you put it in the volcanic soil of French Polynesia, mixed with the coral element and the pristine environment there, within 9 months, there is a plant producing a ripe fruit, that white one there. But unlike other plants, like say if you pick an apple, it doesn't come back till next year. The fruit doesn't come back till next year. This one, when you pick it, 3 months later, it's back. You pick it again, 3 months later, it's back. But have a look at that one. That white one there is ready to pick now. The one above that will be ready to pick next month. The one above that with the flowers on it, that'll be ready to pick in 2 months. And the little bud at the top there, that'll be ready to pick in 3 months. And by that time, the one at the bottom comes back again. And who said money does not grow on trees? The corporate headquarters to the world is in Provo, Utah. There are 5 founders. You have Kim Acey, Carrie Acey, Stephen Story, John Wadsworth, and Kelly Olson. I know all 5 of these men personally, and I can tell you that their integrity is of the highest standard. These men are stewards of this plant, this gift that the Polynesians have called the Queen of the Healing Plants. And so in everything they do, from the headquarters, the 150,000 square foot headquarters, to the gardens out back, you know, they plant like 200,000 plants each spring just to beautify it. They really want to leave the place better than they found it. We have a manufacturing facility in Provo. It's a 150,000 square foot bottling facility. We also have a processing plant in Tahiti. In fact, if we were ever to have a problem with any of the plants, we have a year supply in another area and a half a year supply of the fruit in another area. We've also got buildings in Japan, in China, coming up in Germany. It's amazing how fast and how big this company is growing. The industry that we're involved with is the wellness industry, which of course Paul Zane Pilzer said that is going to be the next $1 trillion industry. It's going to surpass the healthcare industry. We're also part of what's called the functional foods industry. And a lot of people say, you know, fruit juice, how's a fruit juice going to affect the world? Well, back in the 90s, not many people were drinking bottled water. But today, who's drinking bottled water now? In fact, in 2006, bottled water is more expensive than fuel when you pull over at the 7-Eleven. We're very much into branding, and so we take the highest populated streets, like this one here in Shinjuku, Japan, the busiest streets in all of possibly the whole world. In fact, 6 million people a day pass in front of that spot, so that's why we bought it. The Shinjuku train station's right across the street. Well, right there is a cafe, and people walk in, they eat the healthy food, they start to hear about this word noni, and it really starts to get into them. They understand the branding aspect of things. But have a look at this. In Christmas of 2005, which was released then, of course, into 2006, the Xbox game came out with a Project Gotham Racing. And if you have a look on the inside of the cockpit there, you're driving around the streets, they pass right in front of that building that we purchased, and lo and behold, there's our sign, big as bright as anything, Tahitian Noni. Very much a branded saying. We also have Hollywood movies, The Legend of Johnny Lingo. Again, all of these things are there for branding because people will buy a brand where they can afford it because they understand and trust and know that everything was put in place to make sure that they have the top quality. Now, the company is the fastest growing all natural health product in history. It has a presence in about 80 countries. In their first 9 years, they did over $3 billion in sales. But get this, they paid out over half of that. That's $1.5 billion back in commissions. Now, the products, basically, there are 5 major product lines. One, you have, of course, the nutritional, and our flagship product is Tahitian Noni Juice. We also have Moea Spa Body Care and also Tapawema Face Care for the women and also the men as well. They have the first weight management program and health program for women 40 and over. And they also have products for horses, the equine supplement, and also for pets. And people often ask if there's scientific validation. Well, there is plenty. There's been studies all over the world, medical professionals, clinical hospitals and universities, including the University of Hawaii, Metz at France, Rutgers, there's so much. Also, the Olympic Committee has approved it, as well as the NCAA, which is the National Collegiate Athletic Association. But one of my favorite things, that it's listed in the physician's desk reference, and nearly every doctor in America has that. And so whenever they have something that they're not familiar with, they pull out their PDR and they open it up and they look for a product. Now, what's really cool about this is it's not just noni that's in there, it's Tahitian noni. Now, we have many athletes, actors all over the world that are spokespeople for us. Some of the athletes that are more well known is Chauncey Billups. He actually won the most valuable player for the NBA Finals with the Detroit Pistons in 2004. And what's really cool is in 2008, he was selected to be in the Olympic Games as one of the Dream Team. Now, this is how I see the future growth of Tahitian noni. I kind of use the aloe vera industry as my crystal ball. You see, the company that introduced aloe vera to the world was a company called Forever Living Products, and that was about 27, 28 years ago. No one heard of it, and today that company does around $2 billion. However, the aloe vera industry is doing well over $110 billion. So the company that introduced aloe vera to the world is only 2% market share. Had they had the foresight of a Coca-Cola, for instance, to build their brand so that people knew exactly who they... So it wasn't just aloe vera, it was Forever Living aloe vera. They would have a much bigger market share. Now, to give you an idea, Forever Living Products, after 21 years, did $2.2 billion in retail sales. It took Tahitian noni just 7. You know, there's a saying that says that you could be the greatest jockey in the world, but if you're on the wrong horse, you're going to lose. Maybe you've tried some other companies in the past and you just haven't done well. It doesn't mean that you were no good. Maybe you were just on the wrong horse. You see, we know that Tahitian Noni International is the right horse. You could be just an average jockey, and all you got to do is get on the horse, give it a little bit of a kick, and you're going to win nearly every time. Remember earlier on when we spoke about the Show Me the Money formula? Well, what if you didn't feel like you could do that? Well, do you think with our help, could you find one person in a year? And could you teach that one person to find one person in a year? Well, this is what it would look like. Remember the penny? In your first year, there would be you and your friend. The next year, you take that times 2, because each one of you got yours. So 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 4 is 8, and by the 12th year, you'd have 4,096 people. Well, that's wonderful. You know, a lot of people work 20, 30, 40 years and still don't have this. But let's say you don't want to wait for 12 years. Let's make a simple mathematical adjustment and change those years to months. So do you think with our help, could you find one person in a month and teach that one person to find one person in a month? Well, then naturally after 12 months, you'd have the same amount of people. But here's what it looks like figure-wise. This is in US dollars. First month it'd be $24, second month $54, and by your 6th month that's $491, and if it didn't get any bigger than that, well, that's a decent car payment. By your 9th month, if it didn't get any bigger than that, that's $3,800 a month. That's over $40,000 a year. I still wouldn't recommend that you leave your job. But by your 10th month, if it didn't get any bigger than $7,000 a month, well, that's 7 times 12, that's about $84,000 a year. Now, most people will be able to do what I did and fire their boss. And by the 12th month, that's $21,000 a month, and if it didn't get any bigger, that's about $250,000 a year. These figures work. There is no doubt that it works, but the rest of it is up to you.
The reality is this. If you were to lose your job tomorrow, how long could you pay the bills, survive? 1 year? 6 months? 3 months? 1 month? 2 weeks? If you said 3 months or less, it's time to make a change. Contact your friend that gave you this DVD and let them know whether you're a 1, 2, or 3. A 3 is you've already got plenty of time, plenty of money, you don't need that, but maybe you'd like more information on this amazing product. 2 is that you'd like more information on the business, you'd like a second look, plenty of information, DVDs, all sorts of things to give you all the validation that you need. Or 1 is you can answer yes to those 3 questions, which were, yes, you want to make a lot of money, and you know why you want to make a lot of money. 2, you have the money that it takes to get started. And 3, that you know 5 people by the following week that can answer yes to these 3 questions. If If you can answer yes to these 3 questions, congratulations. I'd like to welcome you aboard. It's an absolutely wonderful experience. You know, I heard once say that you don't always remember what you got for your birthday or for Christmas, but you always remember those times on vacation with your friends, your family, your loved one. Contact them. Let them know that you're ready to go, and we'll see you on the beaches of the world. Take care.
Yeah! Oh, yeah! Woohoo!
Oh, yeah! See, some of them almost get away.
That's an only just with that hook.
All you gotta do is just keep throwing the lure out, keep throwing the bait out there. If you keep telling the story, you too will catch that big fish. Woo!